with you.
I thought she was with you.
Hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
This is TheNerdQueens.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Nana.
And we've got some pretty amazing people with us.
Okay, so we've got some great girls with us. So, girls, do you want to introduce yourselves? Tell us, how do we call you? Where do we find you on the interwebs?
Adrian, let's start with you.
Sure. My name is Adrian, and I'm in Colorado, and you can find me on Twitter at @TruthLoveFaith, and I'm really happy to be here with you ladies.
It's Mo,
right.
What's up?
Hi, I'm It's Mo. I have my YouTube channel, which is, It's Mo, and then you can find me on Instagram at morethanyoutthink7 and on Twitter at It's Mo.
And Daniela, say something for us.
Hello, I'm Daniela. You can find me on Twitter in Vero. Basically, Danny wants not two one way. That's it. Vero and Twitter. Happy to be here.
And now we
All
have
right,
Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Staten from West Virginia, and you can find me on Twitter at LNSDreamer_98.
And
Awesome.
Nashila.
Hello, my name is Nashila. You can call me Nash, and you can find me on Twitter on FuriousNash.
And then we have Meg.
Hey guys, my name is Megan. You can call me Meg if you'd like. You can find me on Twitter at @ya_girlmeg or on Vero at WonderMeg.
Awesome. So, welcome, girls. And
Thank you.
we invited you today for a very special purpose. So, you are going to be our first guests for this new thing, and we've hinted it on Twitter, everywhere, and it was inspired by the guys from TPZ,
Team Prozac.
who spoke very highly of us on Pilly's podcast about a week ago, I believe. Anyway, so I'm sure everybody's seen it. It's a new thing called Snyder's Amazons. So this is the first.
Basically,
Sorry?
this will be a roundtable discussion for basically about everything Snyder Cut and Snyder in general, and for the girls of the fandom.
Pretty much. So to start it off, we don't want to lose time. Let's start with just in general, Zack Snyder. That's a topic of its own. So how did you girls find out about Zack? How did you get to his films, and what do his films mean to you? What does he mean to you?
Tell us your fangirl origin story.
Yes.
I'll start.
All right.
Well, I loved Man of Steel when I saw it, and was looking forward to what they were doing next. And but then when I saw Batman v Superman in the theater, I was absolutely riveted. Like I've never been riveted or, glued to the screen like a film ever. And I saw it 5 times in the theater. And I actually recently got to watch it with my birth mom. And
wow.
It was absolutely wonderful. And she loved both of them. And they only get better. And so I didn't really pay attention to who directors were. Like, you hear names, but I didn't really care. But with Batman v Superman, I don't remember how, but I just started, whether it was, watching bonus features or whatever, I started, caring more and paying more attention. And, I didn't see Sucker Punch or Watchmen or 300 until after BVS. And so, Sucker Punch is just art. Watchmen is on another level. And
Watchmen's like my heart thing.
And 300 is just epic perfection. So then when I saw Justice League, I was very excited for Justice League in the theater. and then to be so appalled that it didn't continue, for me, what was started in Batman v Superman, it was just horrible. And I found myself online, and I found Fiona, etc., and have been fighting ever since.
So, at what point do you think you've joined the movement?
Oh, the second I got on Twitter, the second that I felt, like that other people felt the way I felt about the film, that other people loved Batman v Superman and Man of Steel as much as I did, and hated what happened. And then, and then it unfolds. We found out more and more what happened, behind the scenes and how things went down. And, it just kept building from there.
So you were there since the beginning?
No, not quite. I don't remember exactly where, but it was shortly after Justice League. It was not too far, but I don't remember exactly.
Mm-hmm. How about you girls? How did you get to Zach's films and work? Who wants to take up next?
Hey, I'm Danny. Well, I first started with photography. There was a person who was just like Adrian. I wasn't aware of the director. I had no clue of anything. I was just an aficionado, per se. I kept watching it. I saw it like 100 times because I really wanted to. I could see there was different. I could see there was such a deep symbolism. I did my best to figure it out. I just loved it, but the director had idea, not thing, but they love.
Hey, Danny.
So, time passes, and I got to Man of Steel. For me, the masterpiece of all kinds of comic book movies. It's perfect in all sense. It's made me a Superman fan much more than I already was. So I was there watching those two movies, particularly, again and again and again and again. And then it came Justice League, which I have to say I had to see it twice the day I was in the theater.
You had to see it twice to believe it, yeah?
Yeah, I did not believe it. And my friends, it's okay. They kept telling me it's okay, it's a movie, but I have to go again. Mm-hmm. I had an account from the beginning of 2017. I didn't use it until after Justice League. I wanted to know what the heck happened here. How somebody put that thing on screen. I could not believe I was really upset. And I got Justice League and it came with a guy. I tried to follow everyone who I felt like could do something, and that's when it started. Basically, I got Twitter just to find out what the heck happened with that movie. And when I knew what about Zach, about his personal tragedy, I became more aware of who he was and his work. I became a fan of his acting. I have to be honest. So yeah, the female characters, I'm appalled by them. They are so strong and I think the most come from. I was going through some articles, which most of them stated that other characters come from sexual assault. For me, it's nothing like that. I was more concerned about Kim Gordon. And this basically starts the film with her encouraging herself with respect to the husband, looking up to her, should I do this, should I not do this? And then she takes arms and takes a vengeful action after the passing of his husband, of her husband. So yeah, basically that. Justice League got me on Twitter. That's what I got me here.
He got you to Twitter, and there was no way back.
No, sir. No, lady. No.
All right, Itzmo, wanna say something?
Sure. So I found out about Zach first from watching 300 in theaters. That's the first time I ever heard of him, and I remember watching that movie and just thinking this movie is visually just amazing, and I loved it. So that's when I became aware of him, and then I saw Watchmen, and I thought that one was amazing as well. And then I got really excited because I grew up as a comic book fan, so I got really excited when I heard that he was going to do Man of Steel and BVS. And so I watched them, and I just fell in love with. He made me. I talked about it in my. First of all, I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to thank you guys first of all for inviting me to be a part of it. I totally forgot to say that. So thank you guys. I just got ahead of myself, but so in my thank you Zack Snyder video, I talked about how he made me fall in love with Superman and Wonder Woman because I already loved Batman. I grew up a huge Batman fan, and I wasn't as knowledgeable about Superman and Wonder Woman. And
it's like Cole. I mean, Cole was knowledgeable, but she loves Batman.
Yeah, and then I saw, Man of Steel and BVS, and he made me fall in love with those characters, and now I love Superman and Wonder Woman as well, as much as I love Batman. So I wanted to, thank Zack Snyder for that. And then once, those movies came out, then I started to kind of get to know a little bit more about him as, more of a person, director, because I started watching interviews with him about those movies, and I saw how passionate he was, and just he seemed all around a pretty nice guy from what I've seen in the interviews from the actors talking about him, and then from what I've seen, on Vero, my interactions with him and his interactions with other fans. I'm okay, that's true. He's a pretty nice guy. So that made me just love him even more, because some people you're a fan of and they're kind of jerks, but Zach is just awesome. So it just makes me, be more of a fan. And then I got to go to the Wonder Woman premiere here in LA, Justice League. And I was so excited for Justice League. And then I was right from the first shot with poor Henry and the cell phone video, I was what the heck, what's going on? And and then so I felt, first of all, I really started getting behind Zach, and just because after I saw the Ultimate Edition of BVS, because I actually got to see it in theaters. They showed it in theaters one time in several cities, and I saw it in theaters, and I remember walking out of that theater oh my gosh, I feel so bad for Zach, because this movie was so much better, and this is the vision that he wanted, and so many people are not going to get to see it because they already saw BBS, they didn't really like it as much, and I was trying to convince so many people that weren't as big fans as we are, but they were oh well, I didn't like BBS, and I'm you need to see the Ultimate Edition, it's so much better, it's what he actually wanted, and they're no, they didn't want to give it a chance, and it just made me feel so bad for Zach, because I've also direct films as well, short films, and I because I kind of have the director perspective too, so I just felt so bad for him. I just wanted to give him a hug. And then when I heard about what happened with Justice League, I felt just oh my God, they did this to him again, and it's even worse. I felt because not only they released something that wasn't really his vision, but now we might not actually get to see his vision. With at least Ultimate Edition, we got to see his vision. Not everyone got to see it, but at least we have it. But it's just,
I know we are seeing it, all right. That's what we're fighting for.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not gonna get rid of us until we see it.
Yeah, so it just made me more of a Zach defender and stuff. And then because I live here in LA, close to Warner Brothers. I was like, well, since I'm here, I want to try to do something that's like not just like on the internet, and do something close to there. So that's when I came up with the idea of like taking the picture with the hashtag like in front of Warner Brothers.
It was absolutely great.
That was awesome. Yeah,
it was amazing.
So just to be like, hey, we're not afraid. We're actually gonna like, be here in front of you guys. And actually, some crew members from Aquaman, they were actually working at Warner Brothers that day, and I ran into one of them on another show that I was working on, and they told me that they like recognized me from the picture, and then they're like, oh yeah, we saw you guys, you were working on Aquaman reshoots that day, and like we totally supported what you guys were doing. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So
yeah, you were not alone. A lot of us were there with you in spirit for sure.
Yeah, thank you. So about it for right now.
Okay, there we go. Anybody else? Lindsay, want to pick up from there?
Yeah, sure. I know you guys were asking, like, how did you discover Zach? And, like, you guys, I found him through Man of Steel. I was never a Superman fan until I saw that movie. And you might find this hard to believe, but it took me a few years to really fall in love with it. I was an impressionable 14-year-old when it first came out, and the more I heard people saying that Superman isn't supposed to kill, I just lost interest in it. But when Batman v Superman started gearing up for release, I realized what a dumb complaint that was and genuinely became invested in the character of Superman and began to appreciate how Zach brought him to life. And it was just, like, I don't even know, like, it was just so crazy, and that he did so good, and I finally invested in Superman for the first time. Not right away, but in time. And now it's my second favorite comic book film. And yeah, Man of Steel, he does it so well, and yeah. He makes you care about the characters, and it was just incredible. And what
makes it real, because it's like this and this not supposed to kill and all that talk. And we always hear it in connection to Zach's portrayal of characters. But in the same time, it's like you look at Marvel, they're killing left and right, not caring about anything at all.
Exactly.
And it's like you see Superman kill Zod, and you just see the genuine heartbreak. You see the emotion. You can actually see the humanity of the character.
Exactly.
And then you go online, and Twitter tells you that he's like a robot, and you're like, what?
Right. They act like he didn't kill a villain. Like, I've never understood that.
Zach brings out the emotion, though, and you can tell that it really hurts Superman, and Henry and everyone, the way he cast the characters is just incredible. And I loved Man of Steel, but Batman v Superman is where I really started realizing how deep comic book movies could be. And this was literally only possible through Zach's genius approach to the the symbolism, the allegory. Yeah, and the parallels to consume are almost endless. Like, it's a movie you can dwell on for hours. And
years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can just turn your brain off and enjoy it. But you know, people act like you can't do that with that movie. Like it's just too deep or something. I like the deep movies, and I'm so grateful that we have this movie, and Batman v Superman is my favorite movie, and Zach just really blows my mind with that movie. Like, you can just find so much in it. It's so awesome.
Yeah. That's only until we see Justice League.
Right.
All right, Nash, want to follow up?
Oh, sure. I guess the first movie I saw from Zach was 300. but not just after the release. I think I saw it 5 years later. I think I remember being interested in seeing the movie after a trailer, but my mom didn't allow me to see the movie back then. I was too young, I guess. I loved the movie when I saw it. I really liked his style. I didn't care much about directors and the art of making movies at that time, but I was really impressed with 300, but didn't look for the details about who were the cast and crew. But later, when the DCU was already happening, I started to follow Zack's career. And I gotta say, as an introverted, I loved Man of Steel. Look, it's a very popular trend to appreciate the hero's stereotype only as the extroverted, confident, and loud person. And introverteds are always shown as the weird people, the less important characters and stuff. And this always bothered me so much. And Zack came in and turned Superman, this legendary character, into someone very human and show his introverted and contemplative personality as something good. Yeah. Man, that was amazing. I could connect with him right away, finally. The hero was someone like me wants for a change. And Ben Affleck was going to be Bruce Wayne. I have to say I got a little bit obsessed with the future of the DCU when that was announced, because I love Ben as an actor, and I always wished to see his beautiful chin underneath the coat. And so it got me thinking, perhaps this Snyder guy taking my favorite characters is a good thing. He's not predictable, and something really good coming. Because I love the Man of Steel, and now I'm lucky enough to see Batfleck coming to life, finally. And for this, I'm forever grateful to Zack. And I think I already told it he's more times than he could handle, but okay. And because of this, I started to look for his interviews and any content possible about him. And that's how I discovered it. I also like him for the man who he is, because the way he speaks, the passion about so many topics we have in common, he called my attention also for his partnership with Deborah Snyder. I saw them working together so well at Crew and Illusional Films, and they got me like a dream couple. I really like how they complete each other and respect each other.
Yeah.
And I realized when I had this certain that whenever one of their movies coming out, I won't be disappointed, Not because I will be obligated to like everything they do, but with the certain that I always will see their efforts on screen. They will always make a vision of the world I couldn't have it by myself. I think for an artist, there is nothing more sad than trying to reach people with his work, and nobody gets affected by that. And the rapidity is really sad in Zack's work. And I don't need to say anything else.
Everything okay over Denny?
Okay, I just want to say that...
Sorry, I just got some feedback. I was just checking up. Everything's all right over there.
That's fine.
Yeah, no,
Can I interject just a quick question? Did everybody feel like, even though we're women and we're going to talk about the women, did you feel like you could relate to Batman and Superman because of how intimately and how humanly the characters were presented? Because I could relate.
Definitely.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Right away.
I love the input that Nash just put in, because I've never actually thought about it that way, to be honest. From the introverted and extroverted side of the character, I've never actually thought of that. And I think that's really cool point of view, and it's something new to bring in. And next time I'm watching the films, I'm going to focus on it, actually.
Yeah, that's actually something I've told people, because I'm an introvert too, and I've told people that, you know, Batman and Superman are introverts because, okay, Superman has his fortress of solitude, which for an introvert, like, is a dream. I would love to have my own fortress of solitude. You know, Batman has his Batcave, so I would love to have my own Batcave too, where I could go and escape and everything. And I agree with Nash too, you know, about Zach showing those sides of the characters. So, and I've made a couple videos a few years ago about introverts and things like that. So it was really cool to see those characters and realize that, like, oh, cool, these characters that we really love and everyone loves, like, are actually more introverted, but people don't really realize
you can identify with them more.
Yeah.
Yes. To me, the first time I saw Batman versus Superman, it happened the weirdest thing. I came there as a Superman fan. But when the movie started, I mean, I began to look at Bruce, and I began to imagine how his emotional state was at that moment in the Metropolis fight. I couldn't feel that if ever in that position, when something or an incredible force was there, without knowing the intention, throwing everybody and telling everybody. I mean, probably did this too. I mean, it was completely understandable. I mean, I would know the facts later, of course, but I understood. I mean, the feeling of feeling attacked by something you don't understand, by something that is destroying everything around you. It happened the weirdest thing. Being a Superman fan, I got immediately in the position of doing. I had to do something. I kept thinking, he's going to do something. He's preparing something. That's what Batman did. So it's awesome movie, really.
Danny needs the second part of Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just leaving it out there.
We all do.
We all do.
Yeah, we all do. Of course, we all do.
Yes.
All right, we still have Meg to follow up.
All right, hey guys. Thanks for
Poor
having
girl
me
was
on.
there silent in the corner.
No. Thanks for having me on. This is probably one of the coolest things I've ever done, so that's pretty neat. So what brought me to Zach was I remember watching. I have this vivid memory. I was watching 300 at my sister's house, and I was probably way too young to watch it. But I was like watching it in the very end when Leonidas doesn't come back. I started bawling my eyes out. And here I am, like, I'm pretty sure I was like 11 years old, just crying on my sister's floor. And, but like many of you, I didn't know what directors really were. So it started from there. I watched Watchmen. I loved it. And then I had bought a Blu-ray copy of Man of Steel to watch with my dad because he has always been a Superman fan, and so have I. And we watched it together, and I was just thinking that as someone that like struggles with like anxiety and depression, I was like, wow. What an awesome thing to see Superman of all people like struggle. And that's what I really love about Zach's comic book movies or movies in general is that you see these godly, heroic characters, but they still have these inner struggles. And then I watched Batman vs. Superman, and after seeing that movie, I have always thanked and accounted Zach for really helping me out of like a really dark time in my life. And that's why these movies mean so much to me, is because they're more than just a comic book movie. There's so many allegories inside that it's like you see these heroes struggle with even like the basic things like Superman not being accepted for being the god that he is, Batman struggling with the PTSD of his parents' death, and Diana struggling to help out mankind. That's just what I really love. And what I love about Zach is how he treats his fans and how he interacts with us all. He does what he does for his fans and nobody else. And that's what I love about him.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like I'm the only one who got into this whole thing thanks to Watchmen.
Yeah.
Well, I got into it. I honestly got into Zach's movies thanks to my little brother. Because my brother Christian was always a big fan of history, but his obsession with history was born after he watched 300. We got it from Netflix on DVD in the mail.
Wow.
And he watched it once, then I watched it with him, and he watched it, I think, like 20 times before we returned it. 'Cause it was the summer, and he just kept watching it. It would end, and he would put it back on. And so it was like, I enjoyed it a lot, too. And, like, for him, his history addiction was born. But then a few years later, Watchmen came out, and I was like, this is awesome. But then when Man of Steel came out, it was kind of like this moment of perfection for me, like to see this kind of portrayal of Superman and just love every single second of it. And by the time BVS came out, like the Ultimate Edition is my favorite movie as well. I can watch that 1,000 times and it'll still be incredible.
Yeah, no, I was forced to watch Watchmen. That's how my story begins. And mind you, my high school flatmate forever credits it to herself that I even got into this, because Watchmen came into my life in the time when I was dealing with sort of like a loss of a dream, to put it. I had something that I was striving towards my whole life at the time, which wasn't that long, but it was my whole life at the time. And that dream was shattered into pieces, and essentially everything that I was, everything that I wanted to be, was gone. And I didn't have anything. I didn't have hobbies. I didn't have any way to pass time, any way to actually look to the future, anything. And I was bored one day, and I didn't have anything to do, and she goes, well, we're gonna watch something. And I said, all right, what are we watching? And she goes, well, you have two options. One option was Lord of the Rings extended version with the commentary, and the other other option were Watchmen. And I said, I'm not watching anything with the commentary. So we watched Watchmen. And that's how it all began, because I just didn't expect to like the film. I'd never held comic book in my hands before. I just didn't expect to take anything out of it whatsoever. And then we watched it, and I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant. This is so brilliant. I can't put it into words. And needless to say, I love Watchmen to this day. I bought the graphic novel. I read that as well. There are parts in which I just prefer the film to the graphic novel, and the opposite as well. But yeah, that's what got me into comic books.
Cool.
And then Man of Steel I actually watched with Cole for the first time. So that's how I discovered Zach. But I started being more interested in him as a person after BVS. Sometimes between BVS and Justice League that never came out. Because obviously everything that happened around, but also the fact that Cole and I began to go to San Diego. And we were in Hall H in 2016 and 2017, both of the times when Justice League was shown. And 2016, Zach was there with the cast.
Yeah.
So that kind of sparked my interest in things. But obviously after what happened with Justice League, San Diego was also the part where we entered the movement, which Cole could probably talk more about because I was on a plane.
Yeah, Nana was making her yearly flight to come visit me here in Jersey, and I was approached by a friend of mine, Jason LeBoy Photography is his username, and he said, "I saw you're going to San Diego Comic-Con. Do you want to do something good for the movement?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, sign us up." And that's when he told us that Team Pro Zach wanted to put together someone to hand out shirts at Hall H. So he got me in touch with Mick, and Mick got me in touch with the rest of the crew, and I met all the guys. They were all so amazing and excited, and we had this basically, I think it was by the time Nana's plane landed, we had the shirts ordered. They were being delivered to our hotel. We had the plan already written up, and I was like, "So, you've missed a lot."
I was gone for 6 hours. Ever since then, I never dare to not buy an internet on a phone while I'm on a plane, because you never know with her.
Hey, it was like we only had about maybe 6 days before the con. So we had to get this done as fast as possible. And I was like, Nana will definitely be okay with this. So I was like, let's do this. And we did it.
6 hours.
You say that like it's surprising. And to top it off, she got off the plane, and I surprised her with the news that Zack Snyder followed us on Vero.
Wow.
Again, let me repeat that. 6 hours.
Lifetime 6 hours.
That was a lot of freaking out after that.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so that's the wild story of how we got where we are now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but we've spoke about how obviously men in Zach's films inspired you guys, Superman and Batman. But let's talk about girls. After all, we are girls here. So there's this common misconception on Twitter in certain groups of people that Zach is not nice to women. Let's put it that way.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We're all collectively rolling our eyes.
Yes. I believe that I am rolling my eyes as well. So let's just, how about we discuss that? So what is, the iconic moment of, sort of a girl power that you could take out of Zach's films? What stuck to your mind? If you were to pick up one thing, any woman in his films, what would you pick out?
Well, and other than, of course, the epic entrance of Wonder Woman, but for me, it was was definitely the first sign of girl power in the DCEU came from his intro of Lois Lane coming in, and she's like, "Listen, you guys got to stop your dick measuring contest because mine's bigger."
Whoa, that's epic.
I was like, "That is my girl." Yes.
I loved in BVS at the beginning again how he goes, "They didn't tell me you were a lady," and she goes, "I'm not a lady, I'm a journalist." And mind you, I'm striving to say this one day myself. I'm saving this. This is going to be the quote of my life, because I'm saving this. If I ever land a journalism job, this is something I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with. Oh, sorry. I don't. I've heard myself echoing, but I thought it was somebody else. But yeah, definitely the entrance of Wonder Woman. I remember seeing that in theaters, and the first time I was the whole theater cheered. I was cheering too. I was going crazy. Because seeing Wonder Woman in on the big screen was something that should have happened a long time ago, and that's one thing I'm so grateful for Zach for doing, is finally bringing Wonder Woman to a screen. So I think it's kind of funny that people that he hates women or something like that. I'm like, we have Wonder Woman now in the movie because of him, right?
We have female-led superhero movies.
So they just forget that. But to me, that just, I cried as well because I was happy because it's just so beautiful. Her entrance, it was so powerful, and it's probably the most, for me, it was probably best entrance of a character I've ever seen in a movie ever, and I just like love watching that over and over, and just that whole fight. And the Wonder Woman theme song is still my ringtone for everything, like text message, phone call. Like I will never get rid of it because it makes me feel like so powerful. So yeah, I love that. And also I wrote down in my notes too that exact quote from Lois as well about, you know, I'm not a lady, I'm a journalist, because I thought that was awesome as well. And then I forgot the queen's name. I totally forgot, from 300. When she, you know, kind of the guy, the Dominic West's character kind of backstabs her and stabs him. So I was like, yes, girl. So, I mean, I feel like there's so many examples of, you know, Zach just having empowering women in his films. And then, you know, Holly Hunter's character as well in BVS, the senator, he actually like wrote that for her.
My God, yeah.
And people just, they just don't know that, or they ignore that, or whatever. And then also he had Jenna Malone's character in, you know, the Ultimate Edition that was cut out, not by Zach, but some other. Yeah, so he originally wanted another woman who was, you know, helping Lois, you know, investigating the explosion and everything, and then who was the one that found out that the wheelchair was made out of lead? Oh, woman. Okay, so I don't know how they're like, you know, getting this idea. Like, I don't think people watch the entire movie. I feel like they're probably like, oh, something bad happens to these women. But I'm like, do you see how these women react to these things happening to them? They're powerful. They stand up for themselves. So
that's the thing. That's the thing about his film, is like he portrays women strong, but in the situations that are real, that actually happen, that we actually deal with every day. And I think that's why a lot of people choose to like go, oh, he is against women, or he doesn't do it right. But it's like, I don't want to see a film where a woman is, you know, portrayed as something unreal, because that's just not my life. My life is exactly what you see in his films. My life is when I walk into the room full of men trying to do something that's usually considered a manly thing to do, I get looked at weird. That's my life. That's my real life. And the way that the women deal with it in his films is how I want to deal with it. That's how I strive to be. That's their power. That's what I admire.
Yeah. And I was looking at some interviews. There's this quote from Gal. I think the interview was while she was promoting BVS, and she said about Zach, she said, he's so women friendly. He's very into women empowerment. And I think for him personally, it's very important to show a strong female on the big screen that is equal to the other superheroes. So talking about Wonder Woman. But I was like, okay, if he's not women friendly, why would Gal say that? And why would you know, Gal, Amy, you know, Amy Adams, Carla Gugino, you know, Jenna Malone, they've worked with him multiple times. So why would they work with him more than once if he wasn't, like, if he was a misogynist or something?
Right. Exactly.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And nobody had any bad word about him. I've never seen any woman who worked with Zach to say anything bad about him.
Have you guys heard oh my gosh, it's very it just breaks my heart to hear her talk, like because she sounded very sad. Amy Adams, she was doing an interview and they asked her she said really bad for Zach getting attacked, because she's like, he's like the nicest person and he's so respectful. So it just, and then she said, I wish people could see just how special he is. And so
there's a few pictures floating around where you can tell the way she's looking at him.
Like
she's admiring him.
She's like looking at him. The way she looks at him is like, you are precious.
The way Amy Adams looks at Zach, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks at him like he's precious.
Aside from these moments, anyone has any other moment that we could highlight?
I just want to kind of piggyback off on some of that. The Wonder Woman entrance. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge Wonder Woman fan. You guys all know that. Same as Itzmo, I had tears when I saw that, because it's like, finally, you know, we get a piece of what all these guys have gotten for so many years. It's like, no wonder guys love these movies so much, because of how amazing it feels to get that type of representation. But I love the way that he portrayed Wonder Woman as a strong, badass warrior, but also she's a very compassionate and loving woman. And I feel like oftentimes women have to sacrifice being strong instead of being loving. But he created it so that she was both, and you could see that on screen. But I love Lois Lane's portrayal in Man of Steel and BVS. She easily, to me, is one of the smartest characters in the DCEU. She is the one person that figures out, who Clark Kent really is, like right off the bat. And I admire that a lot. And like you guys said, I don't understand, were these people not watching the movie or what were they doing? Because it's crazy to see what we see when we watch this, but I'm just wondering where the disconnect is. But yeah, I mean, any scene that Diana is in BVS, that's my favorite portrayal of her, hands down ever. She's confident, she's sexy, she's strong, she's powerful. That's easily my favorate part.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you just said, that she's still loving and whatnot and doesn't have to sacrifice that. Of course, with when Captain Marvel came out, there was, of course, people comparing the two, because the first two female-led superhero movies. And there was these arguments that they didn't like Wonder Woman because she fell in love. And I was just
wrong with that.
And that she was so
be real.
And
we can have it all.
And then, of course, and then there was that they didn't like that she was so feminine. And it's like, what's the point of a female-led superhero film if she's not a female, Like,
right, you don't have to sacrifice being in love for being strong and badass. You can be both. There's room for both.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you don't, and also it's like you don't have to turn yourself into a man to be strong and badass. And if that's how you like looking and portraying yourself, then that's powerful too. But if you feel like if you're dressed like a girl, you're not going to be seen as badass, and that's not right.
Right, and I like how Zach doesn't focus on the fact that they're not badass just because they're women. They're badass because of the person that they are.
And they just happen to be women.
You don't need to focus on the fact that I have boobs or whatever. It's just...
Yeah, you don't get any of those comments with his characters saying like, listen, I'm a girl, I'm doing it better. It's like...
Right, yeah, it's not shoved down your throat.
It felt so wrong with Captain Marvel. Like, I felt like it had so much potential, but it was all in your face. Like, I am a girl and therefore I'm better. But that's not true.
Right, like even the song they picked, I'm just a girl. Like, it couldn't have been more thrown in your face.
I get it. You want to put some girl power out there, but the way that it was done with Diana, and Wonder Woman in general, it didn't feel forced.
No.
She walked out there and she stole the show, but not in the way that was like saying that men are any less than her. She was just, it was, yes.
It was handled very graceful, very humble.
And it's like she didn't need to tell anyone, hey, I'm a woman and I'm powerful. And I think that speaks for itself. Like,
right, show, not tell.
Yeah, because the heroes
she walked into the room. Huh?
Well, just what makes a hero is that they're not thinking of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're thinking of loving and caring for the people that need it, not, hey, look at me.
Yeah. And you don't need to you don't need to enter the room and tell everyone, hey, I am the female hero here. No.
Yeah.
It's just you walk in and people know. And I think that's what was fantastic about Wonder Woman.
Yes.
And like, it was amazing in BVS. I don't really have words for it, of course.
I'm just forever grateful that we got that.
Yeah,
and for Zach for doing that.
And that they found, then Patty Jenkins stepped in and took over for Wonder Woman. She was the most perfect fit to, like, pick up where Zach left off with Diana. Like, the two of them made this character so magical and fantastic and empowering.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey girls,
like the no man's land scene is just.
I went and saw that with my mom, and we both literally cried for like the rest of the movie. It was amazing to like share that type of experience for sure.
But it's again, there was this one moment just before she walked up there, and it was like when Steve tells her that's not what we came here to do, and she could have she could have spun it around. Like, he could say no man's land, no man has ever crossed it. She could have spun it around and be all about, I am a female.
Right.
But no, she didn't do that. She said, no, that's what I am going to do.
Honestly,
She
in that moment, I kind of expected her to have a Lord of the Rings moment where no man can kill me, I am no man. Which would have been pretty funny, but I like how they did it for Wonder Woman. It fit Diana a lot better. It's kind of funny to kind of think of it like as a joke, but for a second I expected a I am no man moment, and there wasn't. And that was actually, at first I was surprised, and I was like, you know what, that works. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was surprised too. Like, it was something that you'd so expect in that moment. But I guess that's what made it even nicer and more powerful, the fact that it didn't happen. Everybody expected it, and it didn't happen. All that happened was that she walked out there as herself, and it wasn't, oh, I'm female and I'm better than you. It was just, this is me, and I'm going to cross it because I want to save these people.
And it's so refreshing to see that. I feel like oftentimes, like we said before, too many times that women are just put in a movie just because they're a woman, not because of the character that they're playing.
Exactly.
I agree. I think we see that because Zach will have those quiet moments with Lois or with Martha Kent or Lara Kent and Wonder Woman. They don't just pop in later for for a big entrance or for something like that. You get to still see their introspection, or Lois be a soft place to fall for Superman.
Right, they're their own separate.
Is amazing.
Yeah, they're their own separate characters.
Can I say something about Lara, please?
Sorry?
Can I say something about Lara, please?
Of course.
Of course.
Because I just love her. I mean, yes, maybe because I'm a mom, I don't know, but the way she, at the beginning of Man of Steel, I agree with all the heroism of Wonder Woman, the badass of Lois, but Lara's portrayal in Man of Steel, it's so my heart. I wish I could even more, but it was amazing. She is a companion, which she is a witness finally, and at the end of her death Christmas goes up. She sends message to the dark, to her son, who was sent into a dark void with such threat that was very specific. I will find him. I will reclaim her powers. And she died sending this message.
Make
a better world than ours now. And it struck my heart to see her standing in front of the fire and then waiting for her death.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But it shows strength that I don't think that we talk about enough.
Yeah.
That quiet strength.
Yeah. But it's like I can't imagine it myself. I don't have kids, and it's just like the whole thing, saying goodbye to your baby.
Right.
Martha and Lara both stood before God.
Danny,
Hello?
are you still there?
Martha and Lara, they both.
Sorry, you sound very muffled right now. Do you have microphone close?
Not right now. Martha and Lara, they both stood before God.
Danny?
Yeah?
Can you
Hello?
come closer to your phone or to the microphone? It's very difficult to hear you.
I don't have it right now.
Oh, now we hear you better.
Yeah?
Yeah,
right
All I
here.
wanted to say was Martha and Lara, they both put before God.
Yeah, no, like Martha, and it's just the whole mom power, isn't it?
Yeah. I so relate to that.
Yeah, Martha, the way Ma Kent, you know, the way she handles herself, like how unshakable she is. Like this woman is tied up by criminals in a bloody warehouse, and then Batman breaks in and starts wrecking people's days.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, and then he's like, I'm with your son. Like, yeah, the cape. It's like, that is like, you are cool, one cool customer, Ma.
Yeah.
Kent could get through anything. How awesome is it that she tells an alien general to go to hell?
Go to hell.
Yeah.
And she stands in front of a whole group of Kryptonians and just tells them to pretty much fuck
So
off.
Mama Kent. I just love her.
She's like,
Badass.
listen, I raised a kid who I had no idea what I was doing. He probably burnt my hands a few times. But you know what? You're not scary. His temper tantrums were scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think people give Ma Kent enough credit.
No, definitely
Yeah,
not.
she's awesome.
Well, any more women that we could mention?
Feora, my love.
Yes.
Feora, definitely.
I'm so happy she's in the Phantom Zone simply because I'm really hoping I'm going to say when because I want this, I don't want to say if. When we get Man of Steel 2, that she'll come back and be kicking ass and taking names. And, like, we'll get to see the actress Anjay Trow again.
She is so... I loved seeing her kick Superman's ass.
It was like,
That
yes,
was so...
yes,
say that.
Queen, you throw him across the planet.
She mopped the floor with him.
Oh, no.
Oh, and the writing. When she was fighting Superman in, like, that diner, and the whole, like, evolution lines and all that, like, it was so awesome that you could stay in the action and the, the weight and the drama of it all because there weren't light quips. It was, this was, like, to the death, and it was so awesome.
Yes.
The good death is its own reward.
Yes, ma'am.
That line, man.
There we go. We come with awesome lines. What about you, Nash? You've been quiet there.
A little. Well, I wanted to say about Zach because I think it's really unfair how general people treat him nowadays.
Yeah.
I think it's so hard to find a man who respects feminism so well, you know. I mean, it's easy for anyone to label themselves as a feminist. You get likes, you try to fit into the narrative and everything. But what comes from the mouth is not granted, you know? I rather respect and the rap for the movement by the actions. And he never asked for a feminist title. He just go there and make a movie that makes me feel powerful and represented as a woman, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like there's
He doesn't speak; he acts. He shows.
Exactly.
There's so many male directors out there who go around and they're like, I'm a feminist. And then we have scenes in their films where it's obviously you don't understand this. And Zach doesn't even say it. He just does it. I mean, and Sucker Punch is a good enough example of all of that.
Right, and then some directors put scenes in their movies where people fall in your boobs, so... And they call themselves feminists.
Yeah, and they're called feminists.
Yes, exactly.
I hate that.
Disgusting.
Why do they do
And not
that?
to mention that's so boring.
Very.
But I want to see the Cyborg and his mom and Flash's romance with Iris, these other women that we that were cut out, that we don't get, haven't gotten to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think that would be like especially Cyborg's mom is something I am really interested in, and I'd love to see the story around that. And it just breaks my heart that we haven't seen it yet.
I read this. There was this amazing statement or article. I can't remember which one it was, but it was floating around on Twitter for a little while, and it was basically people saying that. Oh, I think it was Juanita who might have wrote it. Juanita Davis from the Black Tapes, where it was that basically by cutting out Cyborg, you're cutting out the story of a main character who's a person of color and how important that is.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. And not only that, some people forget Cyborg is a disabled superhero.
Yeah.
Right.
And for both these reasons.
The heart of the film. We need it back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's not just women. It's diversity in general. People of color, disabled people, introverts, as you guys mentioned. It's like all of it is there. You can always find something, someone to relate to in Zach's films, and I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's done so effortlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not.
I recognize the importance that Zach gave to Wonder Woman. She is one of the biggest female models in pop culture of all times, and he had to fight to keep her in BVS, and I recognize that. And he tried to show to the executives that his superhero team-up needed her as much as needed Superman and Batman, you know? And if today we are able to see Wonder Woman shining on the big screen in all Gal Gadot's glory, we just have to wonder who did cast her as Diana Prince. You know, I love how she is not the obvious choice physically for the role, but he's a casting potential. Yeah,
he really is.
I cannot see anyone else taking her sword and shield, you know? She's the one, and I think Zach and Patty equally for this.
Yes.
It's amazing.
I still want to know who Batman had with him in the truck in the nightmare scene.
Yes,
I honestly,
good question.
That's been topic of the day, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I honestly think that was Batgirl or Carrie Kelly's Robin.
I think that's quite popular theory. That was Carrie Kelly.
We don't know the actress though, do we?
Yeah, I read the name somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I saw that it was the teacher that like escorted the kids away.
That one.
Okay.
But for the life of me, I can't remember her name. It just said teacher.
Okay.
No, she looked a bit younger than that in that scene, but it'll definitely be interesting if we ever find out like what that was supposed to be. The nightmare scenes are some of my favorite parts of that movie.
Yeah, the DC nightmare scenes are amazing.
Another thing that really means a lot to me about Zach's work is his representation of mental illness.
Yes, me too.
And so I've always loved Batman. Always, always, always have. And there's always been people who portrayed him more. They kind of tried to make him like Tony Stark, where he was more like a playboy all the time. They kind of forgot that he got to this point not just because he wanted to change Gotham and he wanted to fight crime and honor his parents. He also got to this point because he's damaged. And I like how Zach wrote Ben Affleck as Batman. First of all, that was the most inspired casting ever because Ben can pull off playing both Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Yeah.
So well.
And brutal and compassionate.
Exactly. And like you can see he is struggling. He's mourning the loss. He's a 20-year veteran of his war on crime. And you can see there's the PTSD, the depression. He's an alcoholic. He is struggling. But he's still fighting to do the right thing.
Yeah, that's something I've always been able to relate to, is that myself, I have depression and anxiety, and seeing a hero like Batman kind of struggle with that was really great to see. like I mentioned before, Zach's movies really did help me out with a really dark time in my life. I was dealing with some loss, like I said, anxiety, and kind of seeing the way that Batman still can find the way to do the right thing, even though he struggles like I do.
Exactly.
Is really amazing.
That's
Inspiring.
basically, you took the
Awesome.
words right out of my mouth. Same.
Yeah.
Struggle is far more human than, than more people admit, and, polite,
Right.
cheery, happy-go-lucky kind of life. Do you know what I mean? More
Right.
superficial. And if we're all like introverts or introspective, I think it's just part of the human condition. Like, I don't think if you don't know, if you don't experience trauma or don't know somebody who's experienced, trauma or difficulty or struggle, then I don't think you're paying attention, because we're surrounded by it. And, we should just care and reach out, and, people should ask for help. And I love that art can inspire and bring up conversation, et cetera, et cetera.
A more stimulating kind of cinema. That's the word of the boss.
Hey, it's Mo.
Hold on,
You're
girls,
trying
for
to
a
say
second.
hi?
It's Mo.
It's Mo. Can you say anything?
Don't think we can hear it, Mo.
No.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Maybe disconnect and come back into the call?
Yeah, try logging off and on.
Can you hear me now or no?
Wait, hang on. I can hear
Oh,
you.
hang on, we hear you.
Okay. I think I just
All
had to disconnect the headphones or something. For some reason.
All right, good. Okay.
I've been
Sorry,
trying to
I just sent a message and I was like, we're carrying on, but I didn't want to stop people. All right, anyway, where were we?
All right. Well, it's Mo. You've been wanting to talk, so the floor is yours.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to bring up another little scene from BVS with Wonder Woman that a lot of people don't talk about, but I loved. Is like when we first see Diana in like that party for that Lex is doing when Bruce and Clark first meet. That's when we first see Diana, and I remember watching it in theater, thinking being a little bit nervous because I'm like, okay, it's the first time we're seeing Wonder Woman. Hopefully, this is good. And so I was a little nervous. But then when I saw that, basically Diana outsmarted Bruce and got the USB and she kind of sped off and everything, the way she looked at him, I'm like, okay, this is awesome. She's amazing. And I love Zach for doing this. Because, the fact that she could, kind of be on Bruce Wayne's level was just amazing. So
how great is the "You've never known a woman like me" line?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did you notice that she rolled her eyes when Lex was talking about green?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's so
That
Diana.
you know something.
I just love how she outsmarted the world's greatest detective. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And
And
so
she
did
was
Lois, right?
And she was
Exactly.
so chill about
Exactly.
it. She was like, whatever.
She's like, it's just another Saturday.
Yeah.
This
And I
is
also wanted to.
I didn't steal the USB. I borrowed it. It's in your car.
And I feel like a lot of people that kind of say that Zach is a misogynist or something, I don't know if they realize I tell as many people as I can. I'm like, do you know Zach will always works with his wife? He will not work with a company a movie that will not, that if they won't take both of them as producers, he will not work with them. So
Right.
that's he works with his
amazing.
queen, Deborah's his queen.
Yeah.
So I don't think people know that, and I try to remind them all the time, he will not work without his wife. So what do you mean he is disrespectful or misogynist or something?
Yeah.
So.
And you can add to that there are women suffering in this world. I mean, wake the fuck up.
You were waiting to say that the whole podcast, right?
Yeah. Open your eyes, wake the fuck up. It's not a rainbow world. It's tough. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
come
not
on.
a rainbow world, and he shows that even in the not rainbow world, women can be powerful.
yeah.
And Lois, even she, like, as strong as he portrays her, she even has doubts about being with Superman. She's like, I don't know if you can love me and be you, but even then, like, she has fears too. She's relatable. I mean, she's dating and living with this guy that is literally the strongest person in the world, but she still has doubts, but she still trusts him, and you know, they saved the world together
That's
too.
the thing. It's like being powerful. The perception of being powerful means being invincible to many people, but that's not true. Being powerful means having weaknesses, but being able to overcome them, at least to me.
Yes, definitely. Agree.
And on that topic, because we turned to mental illnesses and then we left back to women, so let's turn back, take a little turn around and turn back. Because to me, it's a very interesting topic.
Me too.
And you guys started off something that I think we should probably discuss a bit more. Even given the fact that Release the Snyder Cut movement is a big supporter of American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which is all closely connected. So I'd say we could probably turn to this and what if you guys are obviously comfortable speaking on this topic. So what does this whole thing mean to you?
Well, basically, a few days ago, as most of you probably already know, I spoke on Vero and Twitter about my own personal struggles with mental illness. And a lot of Zach's work has helped with that, but also Zach and Deborah's willingness to allow us, the Snyder Cut movement, those of us fighting for for the Snyder Cut, allowed us to basically honor his family as we do these fundraisers has meant so much to me, because that, like, I can recognize the struggle, the fight. I know what that feels like. I've been there. And it also means a lot that we can take this tragedy and try to do some good with it. And with Zach's portrayals of mental illness in his various films, they're fantastic. Some people are very critical about these things, but I don't think they realize how raw he's been with these things. I mean, everything from obviously Bruce dealing with his many issues to even Clark having like bouts of depression. Yeah. Like, I'm not sure if the character itself has depression, but you can see him struggling with his self-worth, with his, like, should I even exist? And even Diana in BVS, she's like, I walked away from all of the bad things that this mankind can do. Like, all of the characters.
Which makes perfect sense. That line, and that's been attacked, or they want to retcon that or whatever. But the fact that how can you not look at what happened, you know, with wars and death and what all man was? How can you not ask that question? For Zach to, you know, have Wonder Woman ask that question of, like, what is the point? You know, bring that up and then answer it, because it's answered at the end of the film with, if you seek his monument, look around you, and where we can all do something to help somebody. And so to be a part of the Snyder Cut and to, you know, and to all of us to have come together and all of the donations for the organization and just all that caring, it's just the art and life are mirroring each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on the whole movement in general. I've met some pretty amazing people from the Release the Snyder Cut movement, and probably some of the best friends that I have. And we all struggle, we all deal with things, but we all have each other's back. And the way that Zach and Deborah help us out and interact with us as well. I think it's really cool that Zach and Deborah take the time out of their super busy day to interact with all of us and comment back when we comment, because they know how much that means to us.
Or even just like the simple act of when they like a post. It's like it's just amazing. The fact they even take that moment, even if they're just scrolling and tapping fast or whatever, they still took the moment to do that, and it's just they're just so amazing, just fantastic people.
I don't have anything to say.
Well, I have a question for you, Nana. How did you feel? How did you feel with the story of Man of Steel being an immigrant story, and how you felt when you came to live in America briefly? Could you relate to that at all?
Oh my God, heavy topic there. It's really something that people don't realize until they try it. The thing where you come somewhere and you find that place to be your home. And in Clark's case, it was even more so because obviously he grew up there and it was his home. For me, it was just a temporal home still. It was something that I built for myself and stuff. But then you get looked at and you get judged and you feel at times in certain situations like you're not good enough. And I experience it all the time. I experience it here in the UK as well. I mean, you wouldn't believe what a struggle sometimes it is when I go for even a job interview, and it's like, I feel like writing down that I am an immigrant is like putting a black dot on my CV. And it's just, it feels like, I walk somewhere, and I mean, my accent's probably not that heavy because usually when people hear me speak, they don't really know where I actually come from. And they judge me completely different the moment I actually say the country that I'm from. It's like it completely switches around. And it happens because when I come somewhere here in the UK and I speak, they're like, "Are you American?" And when I say I'm not, and I admit that I'm from Czech Republic originally, it suddenly feels like everything, the temperature drops in the room. It's like, this girl, she comes from the Eastern Bloc, literally, like that. Even though communism is long gone, it just feels like the world, in this point of view, from the immigrants' point of view, is there's this really strange division at times. And it's funny because with Superman, he was looked at in a very similar way at times as I am. And the portrayal of it, even though so many people misunderstood it, is really important to me. Because it feels like, hey, I am not the only one. Even though I'm not the only one. But, seeing it somewhere on the big screen, it just kind of is like, hey, I am genuinely not the only one there. And if Superman can do it, I can do it too.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Awesome.
But yeah, that's it's a thing that I think a lot of people overlook, and a thing that I think is very important these days, especially in the political climate that we're in, both in the UK and in the US, and even back in my home country. It's just immigrants are looked at as wrong, and it shouldn't be that way. Because we are all over the world, and if we look back through our DNA, which we actually can, we see that we come from so many places, and it shouldn't be that way. We shouldn't judge people based on where they came from. Exactly. At least that's what I think.
No,
that was beautiful.
Absolutely.
No other director would really have the nerve to bring that into the superhero movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I have not seen it anywhere else, or at least not as prominent as I've seen it in Man of Steel and then in BVS, when people question, should he be there? Not just as a superhero, but as a person, as an immigrant, as an alien.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen this kind of question anywhere else.
Yeah, that's something that's pretty...
That questions everything. I mean, the journalists were speaking about it questions. Should we take this stranger? Are we allowed to go up where we stand at the beings in the universe? So, yeah, I think a lot of questions. And that's the whole point of this thing. How do we think? The things we don't understand. We are violent. So, its origin is everything.
You know, it's just I noticed that, like, when I come somewhere and it's like, oh, I'm an immigrant and I'm from there and there, people are excited to hear, oh, where are you from? What is it like? And all that stuff. You're a new shiny toy. But then when you come in and you actually want to mingle in their business, and then it's like, oh, hold on a minute. You are a cool toy, but like, go away.
Yeah. Wow.
That's the general approach. And it shouldn't be that way, but it is that way. And I think that Superman shows it great, because he is, like, people look up to him and it's all great and good until there are questions, until there is like, hey, hang on, but he is very powerful and he can do this and this and this. What we can't do we really want him here? And suddenly it doesn't matter that he's saving lives. Suddenly it's, but does he belong here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they seem to forget for a bit that he's an alien from another planet, and they're like, look at him, he's amazing. And then they remember that, and they're like, wait, you can't be amazing now because you're from somewhere else. And it's like, but why can't he? You know, it's like, what, you can't answer that question. We were all, everybody, single person in the world was an immigrant at one time or another.
Yeah.
Like, every family had to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And Superman is just, it puts that, it takes the magnifying glass that hovers over that situation and blows it up. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's a wonderful thing that he focuses on that so much.
And yet still people manage to overlook it, mind you.
I think another beautiful thing that Zach does, especially with casting, is how diverse he is when casting people.
Yes.
Just look at Aquaman.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Or what he's doing with Army of the Dead. I think it's really amazing, and a lot of people overlook that. I mean, Aquaman made
I'm
$1 billion.
so excited for Army of the Dead, just by the way.
Oh, yeah. But, like, Aquaman made $1 billion, but it's like, if Jason Momoa wasn't cast as Aquaman, we wouldn't be where we are now.
Exactly. Something so powerful, Jason.
Yeah.
The culture, where he goes, power, where it comes from, but all of that is like pure casting.
Danny?
Yes?
Sorry, I was just, is it on my side, or is it,
No,
because I couldn't really hear you very well.
She keeps going
Yeah, I
in and
can't
out.
hear her either. That well.
I think you just need to
Yeah.
get your mouth closer to whatever mic you have.
Like the phone or what have you.
Yeah, like your phone.
Freaking phone. It's dead.
That's a little better.
Yeah.
Oh.
Same things from all customers. Like, I would say to this blonde soda is like but something years after planet to homeland.
I can't hear.
Me either.
Same.
Danny?
Hello.
There you go. What are you doing right now? Are you keeping the phone in front of your face?
Yes.
I think that maybe,
Now we hear you.
I think if you, when you speak, to hold it in front of your face so we can hear you better.
Okay. So, Jason and his culture way, the way he brought all that into Aquaman. We were probably expecting this tall guy, this long, tall guy like in the comic book. And we brought all that he is into that character, the way he takes care of Homeland, the way he tries to look after the planet. I mean, it's real Aquaman, I think.
He really does embody everything that Aquaman was probably supposed to be at one point, and sometimes is. And then he not only embodies the character, but he also makes it his own. And the fact that Zach was like looking for Aquaman and decided this is the angle I want to go with was incredible. And he did it despite the fact he might have faced backlash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I
think Jason Momoa had an interview somewhere where he was saying when he was originally approached about the role, he was just expecting to be some sort of a villain or something. That it didn't occur to him that he could play Aquaman.
That he could be
and then the whole fact that he just could keep his culture as well as part of the thing, it just like was incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I know an interview talking about he was speaking about how he was thinking he was auditioning for Lobo, which I mean I personally would love him as Lobo as well. But he finally got to be the hero because in any movie you see Jason Momoa in, I mean, Game of Thrones for one, he's the bad guy for the most part. He's seen as like kind of savage in a way. And I think it was really beautiful that Jason got to keep his culture and got to bring that into the character.
And that's what Zach wanted, though. Like, he wanted Jason to bring in his culture. Like, that's why when they designed Aquaman's suit, it was made to also to have like it mimics a bit of the tribal tattoos he has, the Polynesian tattoos. And like it was like all these little details that Zach knew he wanted the second he went out, and it's groundbreaking and amazing.
Yeah,
brilliant.
You're very quiet there.
Mo?
There with us?
Mo?
Hello?
You're very quiet, dear.
Very quiet. So you're wondering if you're still there.
No, yeah, I'm here. I'm just enjoying what you guys are saying, and I feel like I don't want to interrupt. So
no, you're
good.
Speak up. Do you have anything to add?
I'm just going to be repeating what you guys said because I agree with, especially with the casting of Jason, and I've talked to other people too as well about the diversity of his casting, which I loved. So, I agree with your guys' points, and I don't want to repeat them.
I like that it's so much thoughtful, diversity. It isn't just to find people of color or to have different people with backgrounds and colors. It makes perfect sense the other qualities that these actors and actresses bring to the role. Like, there's something that Zach sees in them, even beyond any surface traits that they embody, or he believes they can embody something amazing about the character and bring all of who they are to the character. And then we get to just bask in all of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I like about it. The story fits with it too. Like, you don't just have diverse characters for the sake of having diverse characters. It's like what we were just talking about with Aquaman, that the culture was adapted as well. It was like it was made so the character actually fits in there, not that it's there for the sake of being there.
Yeah, something that always stuck with me from an interview that Carrie Fisher had when she talked about being cast as Leia. She said, they wanted me to play this character, but they only wanted part of me.
Yeah.
And with Zach, he wants 100%. He wants everything that actor is and who they are. He wants them to bring that to the table, and that's why he chose them. And it's just such an amazing thing to see.
And we all see it in the final product. It's all like, well, of course.
Like, obviously, it makes sense, like it was meant to be.
Right.
Yeah, it's like none of us...
Even the minor characters, you know? Even like Jenny. she's awesome. You know,
Perry White.
Yeah.
Perry.
I mean, who else would have had like, you know, a throwaway intern, and she gets this whole rescue scene, and it's done amazing. It's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what? I think Zach, he understands people. I can say I am a psychologist, and I think Zach understands the importance of our roots, how our roots represent us and build our characters. So he casts a diverse cast to show all our sides, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He understands the whole thing, yeah. He's amazing. You talk about representative casting, and he's making this since ever.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the backlash, I guess, he got for casting Gal as Wonder Woman, you know? Oh, she doesn't have big enough boobs, she's not curvy enough, this and that. But then she ended up killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he chose an Israeli national.
Yes.
And he wanted her, even though people complain, like, oh, her accent is getting in the way, it's like, no, it's not. He wanted her. He didn't want her to get rid of her accent. He didn't want her to change for this role. Like, yeah,
and I think it's so beautiful that she always attributes her career now to him giving her that role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the actor,
she was going to give up acting, and then she got cast as Wonder Woman, and it was like a meant to be type situation.
I hope someday he lets us into his process, like how he came to the conclusion for these people, because I would love to get inside his brain a little bit with that.
Yes.
Because these aren't the people I would have thought of, but once they're in the role, they are flawless.
Yes, very much. Hey, Zach, if you're listening, hit us up.
Yeah, hit us up. Tell us what.
Love you, Zach.
Tell us your secrets.
And Deb and your family and your whole team.
And everyone.
We love you.
By the way, we lost Danny. I don't know where, but she disappeared.
I think if she might be restarting her phone, just give her a few minutes to come back if she can.
Well, she said she was in the a coffee shop or something, so maybe her connection dropped. So hopefully she'll connect back in. But yeah. So where did we finish?
We were telling Zach how much we love him.
Yeah, right.
Well, the other thing is that because the films, 300, Watchmen, BVS, all of it is so. I think I skipped over, and I saw the trailer for Sucker Punch. I just kind of expected typical Hollywood stuff. I guess I kind of piqued my interest, but I never got around to it. But I think we love what he does so much because it's so special in the entire cinematic landscape of other films. They stand out as far as all these other elements that we talk about. That they're just amazing. Visually, and you can just enjoy the story. You can relate to it. They give us talk about meaning and purpose and all these other just deeper things about life that we can continue to think about and then dissect the films for forever. So we love them because of all. Yeah,
there's always something new to find, some new angle to look at.
Even down to how he sets the scene. Like, I remember in the Lex Luthor and Senator Finch scene, you see these horse imagery in it, little statues, and he's trying to plant Trojan horses in the movie with Wallace and Senator Finch. Those little Easter eggs like that. He's a genius. He's so smart, and there's always something you can find, something new, something different, and it just adds to the movie, layers and layers and layers.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, what do you guys think of Lex Luthor?
I love Jesse as Lex.
Me too.
Oh my God.
Me too.
Love.
Jesse as Lex was one of the most inspired things Because what people are so used to from the movies we've had are in the past, like the Brandon Routh Superman movies or the animated shows, Justice League, Young Justice, etc. All of these animated shows, we're used to seeing Lex as this suave, like bad guy, and like people forget he is a crazy person. Like you don't do what you do if you're not totally barking mad. And they also forget that in some of the comics, he's written just like Jesse Eisenberg playing him. And Jesse was fantastic. He was this he was new. He was this version of Lex we hadn't seen yet, like in film, where he was like, he knew what he was doing. He was like, I am going to take over the world or I'm going to destroy it.
Yeah, I mean, it was so refreshing to see that take on Lex. Like, throughout the movie, you, like, slowly see him go more and more insane. Yeah, and I think Jesse really did a great job.
And, like, the thing with Lex Luthor is that he goes insane before he becomes the stable, chill, like, suave and debonair bad guy we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
So, and I like that he touched on that, because most creators, they kind of like to skip the origin with Lex. They're like, everybody shows someone that's crazy. But with Zach, he was like, you know what? I'm going to go all the way. And he did. Mm-hmm. And Jesse was just such a great casting, and I pray we get him back.
Same.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, even in the post-credit scene in Justice League that we did get, that I think was Zach. I'm not sure if he filmed it. But the way Jesse was portraying Lex for that few moment scene, you could tell that transition in Lex's persona was taking place. He was changing after his downfall at the hands of Superman and Batman, and morphing into this character that we're more familiar with. And it was like, holy crap, this is happening.
Speaking of after credit scene, like, Deathstroke? Can we talk Deathstroke? Because, like, I want that character now.
We need him. Me too. We need him.
And Zach, he did confirm on Vero that he did shoot that scene with Jesse and.
Oh, thank goodness! That was a great scene.
I think the only thing that was added was the close up when he says "the League of Our Own," but the rest of it, I believe, was
it was slightly changed, but I think the original was
and not to mention something like that. Lex's guards are all women.
Yeah, they're all these badass ladies that could obviously kill every single man they come in contact with.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we've spoken about a lot of topics, but there's one that I really wanted to touch on with you guys that I just remembered. So when Justice League came out, there was a lot of people comparing the Amazons dress and Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman versus Zack's Justice League, and they were criticizing the costume choices. And so a lot of them came out and they were like, listen, we chose to dress that way because we felt powerful and badass. And I just wanted to hear, like, how did you guys feel about that whole controversy? How did you feel? What are your thoughts?
Well, here's the thing. I feel like there's a certain group of people that say they're all for female empowerment and wear whatever you want, but then they're the same group that will criticize when you do wear whatever you want. Exactly. And here, I think they look beautiful no matter what. I mean, they all could kick my ass and I would be happy.
I would thank them.
Yeah. But, like, I just feel like people want to preach, wear whatever you want, do whatever you want. But then when it actually happens, it's like, oh, well, this is not what we meant when we said when you can do whatever you want. Right. It's a male director is portraying them this way, so it's obviously a bad thing when it's not. I mean, like you said, the women felt empowered, so that's all that matters. I don't care what some anonymous person on the internet says.
If Zach is going to have all the men in 300 work really hard and Cavill and Affleck get in tip-top shape, and these women worked hard to get into tip-top shape, and then mean Zach for having their
for letting them
attire show how hard they've worked and how strong they are. The women obviously didn't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it, and
that's what they were. These were Olympic athletes, and they were saying we worked hard for our bodies. We feel like showing it off, like
right.
Yeah, and there's even.
I mean, when you look at it, the only actual nudity that you get to see in his films
are men.
Hail
the bat
exactly.
butt.
You're right.
I mean, Cole is always quick to show off bad butt whenever she can.
I love that. I don't know. I just love that scene. I was like, it is the bat butt.
The other day, she was threatening with it someone on Twitter. I don't know.
I don't remember the context, but I was ready to pull up that screenshot from BVS. So like, I will pull up Ben Affleck's butt. Don't test me. I will.
Well, we can see these people complaining still have problems with our bodies. So that's really messed it up.
Yeah. And I definitely agree with you guys. Like, I kind of tried just to like ignore them, because I feel like the more if I respond to them or whatever, it's just like adding fuel to the fire, and I don't want more people to see like those dumb points. So I would choose to just like ignore it, but because I see it in person too, just like, the same women that are like, wear whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. And then, you might look too nicely, like better than them. And then they don't like that. They're like, oh, shoot, you're actually like showing off your body and you look good. We don't want you to show that off, And so that's kind of how I felt. And like, if the women themselves are comfortable, they don't have a problem with it, then why do you have a problem with it? It's like they're trying to find any little thing to complain about, like Zach's films. And it's like,
and there weren't any like gratuitous shots of them. They were fighting.
Yeah,
they were defending.
Yeah, he puts an emphasis on anything like that.
Yeah, they're focused on what they're wearing instead of what they're actually doing. It's like, do you see what they're doing right now?
But that's the exact same kind of people who then come somewhere and say, oh, she got raped because she wore this clothes.
Right.
And it's like, and these are the people who then come and say, oh, Zack Snyder is a misogynist. It's just, it makes no sense whatsoever, but that's the world we live in right now, because it's just, that's the approach. And they will fight with you on Twitter, and they will fight you like crazy, and they will always have argument back. So there's really no way to actually win an argument with them, because they will always have their truth. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, this is how it starts. You're preaching, oh, hey, you can do whatever you want, that's your power and you're all that, but don't wear that, because that makes you look too hot.
Well, and it's obvious that, that for some reason these criticisms are being thrown at Zach, but when you look at other films and the way other women are portrayed in other films, there's reason to complain maybe somewhere else, but then I don't know why they bring up, it's like they're just scraping the barrel to criticize Zach for any reason.
Yeah.
And they don't hold that same standard to other films or other people or directors. Doesn't make sense.
It's okay. You can voice what you're saying. I can hear you dancing around.
Let's not give them press. Let's just keep talking Snyder.
I think it also goes back to, so you have these Amazons that are, their abs are showing, whatever. It goes back to a woman can't be confident in what she's wearing and also be badass, or women can't be that complex, like, as characters. That's how they see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And I found I heard a quote from Jenna Malone that's pretty relevant to this topic, because they were interviewing her about Sucker Punch. One of a male interviewer asked him about, like, oh, you guys look all sexy and blah, blah, blah. How do you feel about that? And she said, I have the quote right here. Okay, so they didn't really have a problem with that. They said, I think it's good, that we can, showing women that can be sexy but also strong at the same time. Why do you have to be one or the other? Right. And then Jenna said, I know that when I'm sort of imagining myself as a kick-ass character, I'm definitely not wearing sweatpants. So I didn't know. I'm like, yeah, that's true. You know, you don't want to look good.
That's totally true.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I like how they kind of, you know, kind of defended Zach in a way, because like I think the interviewer was trying to find like something to kind of like use, you know, maybe against Zach, and they're like, no, like we were fine with it, you know. We like.
I don't know how about you girls. When I look at myself and I look into my closet and I think about it, the most confident I feel, and Cole can tell you it's true, because I mean she knows me better than I know myself. The most confident I feel is when I'm on my heels and in my dress.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes it's frustrating because there'll be days when I want to dress homeless, and then she
it's a whole different topic, okay?
And she gets dolled up, and she's like, "But I feel powerful." I'm like, I can't argue with that, but now I have to change.
I do that a lot. I gotta wear uniform to work, so I enjoy those days when I don't have to. Yeah. So then it always ends up like, you know, I gotta do this and this and this, and I just want to really feel good.
Yeah.
So I end up overdoing it sometimes, and then there's Cole looking at me still half in her PJs like, are we really doing this right now?
Well, I guess we have to do it.
Right, so yay for the flannel PJs, and also we all want to rock the dress and heels.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Like if I felt comfortable and confident enough to dress like the Amazons in any of the film, I would. I totally would.
Same. If I had abs like that, I would never wear a shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to have abs to not wear a shirt. All right, let's not go there.
That's a whole other topic and a whole kettle of fish.
But yeah, so jumping away from the films, because obviously we've talked about that quite a lot.
Right.
Let's circle to the movement a bit. Let's talk a bit about, you know, the movement that we are obviously a part of. You guys all joined it at some point. We did as well. 6 hours. I'm still a bit bitter about that. Anyway, I just feel like I wasn't included. I am happy we did it. I just wasn't included. But anyway, so what does the movement mean to you guys? And what, if you were to reflect back on, you know, your days, weeks, months, possibly years with the movement, what did it bring you? And what, you know, what kind of positive stuff would you take out of it? Because obviously the movement was founded based on not exactly the best things. And we are fighting for a good thing, but it was based on, you know, a bad thing. So what is the positive stuff that you could take out of it? What does the movement mean to you? What did it do for you?
Well, I think before we really started, you know, like hardcore fighting, as we found out more and more stuff of how things went down, before that, we were all sharing and like peeling away the layers and finding more and more things in the film together, like in Batman v Superman and in Man of Steel. And then, you know, we're all so invested and love it so much that the more that we found out what happened, the more it just feels I'm compelled that it needs to be released because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do for Zach and his family. It's the right thing to do for the cast and crew, and it's the right thing to do for the fans. We got invested with, you know, these films, several of them, you know, and it's just, there's just no giving up for me. It's just, I'm in this to win it.
Yeah. For me, I agree with you as well. But for me, I feel like the main thing that I've gotten out of this movement and what it means to me is friendship, really. Being an introvert, like many of you guys, it was hard for me to find friends, especially friends that enjoyed the same things I did. So when I found Dave, actually was the one that kind of got me into the whole Snyder Cut movement. When I saw like the great work that people put in for a common goal, it just kind of made sense that I should join, especially with a lot of the stuff that they do for the suicide prevention. But I've made so many great friends, and it's going to be so great one day when it finally comes out and we can all like enjoy it together.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like, and me, it was being part of Project Comic Con and seeing all these people donating to it, but mostly because of, you know, like the suicide prevention, and just seeing everyone come together and, like Meg said, finding a community where you can talk about things that you like, and then you're fighting for something that you like, and that's such a positive thing, and that's what I've really gotten out of it, is finding this community.
Absolutely.
Nash or Itzmo?
Also, I guess I'll just go. So I have met some really awesome people through it, so that's a positive thing that has come out. And also, for me, it's just like fighting for what I think is right. I've done that before. I've been an activist, you know, just fighting for other causes before. So I just like, I can't help it. Like when I see some injustice, just something wrong, I'm like, I can't just sit still. I have to do something about it. So that's why I wanted, you know, because I saw Zach kind of get screwed over with the Ultimate Edition a little bit, with it not being released and, you know, wider release and more people getting to see that. And then it just having it happen to him again, I was like, I can't, like, why? And so I just needed to get involved and do something. So it's just more like just fighting for what's right. And hopefully, you know, we know WB knows about us. So hopefully, you know, it will come out. And I don't know if you guys have heard about Kevin Smith talking about it, and that there is a cut, but like it's, you know, really rough. And I've told people before, like, I don't even care if it's rough, just like let us see it. We will understand that it's, you know, kind of not all completely done, but like we just want to know what Zach wanted, you know, what his
I think the case of conversation in this part is, you know, what would Zach want? You know, I think that's what's really important to most people in the movement. It's not like, obviously we want to see it. We all want to see it. I mean, that's the goal. But I think that it's also about what he wants. You know, would he want to put it out as it is, or would he want to finish it first? If that makes sense, you know? And I think that's important that we don't lose sight of that, because we are fighting for him and for justice for him. And I think that, like, sometimes while we're on this whole fight and we're trying to do the right thing, we sometimes forget that that's the main thing. And I think that's what a lot of people we're discussing lately, that it's also about what he wants, you know? And
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that like we need to just like not. Of course, I definitely want him to be happy. I'm not saying like I'm.
Yeah, no, of course not. It's just me putting my thoughts out. That it's you know.
Yeah, because I've just I'm really patient too. Like I've told people, like I don't mind if like it doesn't come out in 10 years. Like as long as somehow we get to. If, you know, and I feel like he does want us to see something, because why would he be putting out these teases if he like doesn't want us to know about it? So
definitely.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, the conclusion that a lot of us have come to is that if Zach wanted us to stop fighting for it, he would tell us, because that's the kind of person he is. He's proven himself to be very blunt and upfront. He's not going to string us along like any other guy. So, and so if he wanted us to stop, he would tell us to. And you know what? The movement would. We would keep doing charity work, but we would stop fighting for the film if that's what he wanted. But he hasn't told us to stop. He's encouraged us. He's praised the movement. Yeah. He wants us to keep going. So you know what? That's what the boss says. That's what the boss gets, you know?
And I imagine he's not just doing it for himself. He's got a team of people that he brought on.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So he's got on one hand, he has all of us fans wanting it, and then all of the actors and everybody that came on and all of his cast and crew that he's sort of the fearless leader of, and they all follow him. So I think he's got it on both sides. He's at the head of it, but I think he feels an obligation to the cast too.
Yeah,
of course. And you got Ray Fisher, who spoke so loud about the whole thing, and he must it must be really heartbreaking for him, as he was the heart of the film. But there are others like Ray Porter,
exactly. I was gonna say that.
Whom we were really lucky to speak to during San Diego, and it's just like this stuff that is around for a lot of people. This meant much more than we even know, and to not be able to show that film to the world, I think it might be more frustrating to them than it's to us.
Yeah, like Ray Porter was telling us, he can't even say that he was in the film. Like, people found out, and he doesn't have, like, the studio said he doesn't have to say he wasn't. But he can't come out and say, listen, I was dark side, and when I was in the movie, as he put it, I was in the fucking movie.
Wow.
He filmed fight scenes. He filmed motion capture. He was in the movie, and his entire character got cut out.
We need it.
Yeah. We need to. It just gives us a reason to fight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
all about people, right? It's all about people after all, and I think Zach deserves it, because we are fighting here for art and for respect for people. So this entire community is unite for one cause, to show Zach respect, the respect he deserves to be shown. So it's all about people happy seeing a movie that we want so much. There's nothing wrong about that.
Yeah. I think bottom line is all of us here would take any version, even the unfinished version. If they said, if Zach came out right now and said, hey, this is what I get for you, we would take it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think I can speak for all of us.
Yes.
But that's for me, that's the bottom line, what he wants. If he wants it finished before he shows it to us, then that's what we fight for.
Yeah, exactly.
The best for him, always.
But anyway, Nash, you didn't get to speak on the movement. Anything you want to add? If you're there.
Yeah, I am. I joined the movement because I wanted to see the movie, of course. I was already following the CU back then. And then I saw Fiona tweeting about the hashtag, the first tweet of the hashtag. Then I got excited because more people other than me wanted to see the movie. So I started to follow everyone on the movement, and I joined Vero to keep close to Zach until he followed me, and I almost got killed. But okay. And then I saw the photo organized by Tmol, and man, that was amazing. I respect that so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was really inspiring for me. And I am in the movement to trying to spread positivity towards the movie. I want to show the media the way I can that this movie can be a huge win for Warner, because they didn't get the money they wanted with the theatrical version, so they could have another shot now. It's up to them. And now it's just about the people. This community it feels like home for me. If I want to send letters, fine, let's do this. If you have to make phone calls to Warner, let's make it clean and in a respectful way. Let's show to the world how much it means to us, because it's all about people, after all. It's all about these friends that I have made these years. It's all about them. That's it.
Very well said.
That was beautiful, for real.
Mm-hmm. So if we're gonna wrap it up slowly, I have a little bit of a surprise question for you, because I didn't give that to you ahead of time, because I just thought about it early in time. But anyway, this whole thing, obviously, we were talking about positive stuff, about what we admire, about what we find precious about movement, and about Zach and his work and his family. So if you were to give a message to the movement, what would you give them? This is like your moment to send out a message to the whole movement. What would you say?
Mm.
You're gonna hate me now.
No. I guess I would just say, like, thank you. A lot of the stuff that gets put together is really amazing, and it's great to see that there's people out there that want to organize all of this for all of us to participate in. Again, yeah, just thank you. It's such a beautiful thing to see it all come together.
Yeah,
I agree. I'll just piggyback off of that. Like, with the different people that we have contributing, things art like Ramesh, and Geraldo with the different music, and all the other people doing fan art and organizing all the different campaigns, and the at the release, the Snyder cut, and everything. Like, we are stronger together, and all of us, everybody contributing in all their little ways, keeping us connected, and everything. I think I just really appreciate it, because we couldn't do it all. We couldn't do it on our own. So, yeah, I agree. That's just my thank you.
I just want to say that like she said, we all need each other, and we shouldn't let things divide us, and maybe not let everything get blown out of proportion. And if you disagree with something, maybe just, handle it more civil. I've seen things lately, but this is a great movement, and we've accomplished a lot, and I know Zach supports it, and that's all that matters, and that we have his support, and we support him, and just keep going and keep supporting Zach, and just hang on to positivity.
Yeah, stay focused.
Yeah, stay focused.
Yeah.
Nash?
I gotta say, everyone in this movement have done such amazing things. We all are literally saving lives with this movement, some way or another. And we can disagree in certain topics. That's fine. That's part of the human condition. That's beautiful, I guess. But let's be kind to each other. Let's help each other to bring other people to the movement. We need people. We need more force. We need more numbers. And you're amazing. Thank you for everything so far. And let's keep fighting the good fight for boss.
Amen.
Yeah. It's Mo?
Yes. So I definitely want to thank everyone for, the support, not just for, what me and my friends did, but just, just everyone also who's just done their own thing. Like, I saw what you guys did at Comic-Con this year, and I thought it was so awesome. I wish I could have been there. So just everyone's contributions, I do want to thank you guys for that. Also, what you guys said, be nice to each other, but also I have to say this because it does bother me. If you guys could also be nice, not you guys specifically, but everyone could just be nice to other people that, even if they don't agree with you, just be nice. There is a way to disagree with people, or just talk about things without calling each other names and things like that, because I see it on my Twitter. If not everyone that I'm friends with, or I know, thinks there's a Snyder Cut, but there's a way to talk to them without calling them idiots or something like that. And it just really bothers me, because it's very immature behavior. So
yeah, guys, if someone doesn't agree, just be respectful. You don't have to call people names, and just be kind to everyone. Okay, and that's it. And thank you. And I can't wait to see what more we can do to support this movement.
Okay, Cole, do you have anything to add?
Well, basically, what I wanted to say is everything what you guys said, but also just don't give up. You know, some days it gets really hard to be a part of this movement and this fandom, and to think that it's really easy to let yourself feel hopeless. But don't give up, don't stop, and keep fighting until. And if you can't do it anymore, that's okay. More of us will take up the mantle for you. And like Mo said, you know, be kind to each other and even to those who disagree with you. Nana, it's your turn. Spotlight's on you.
All right. Well, I just want to, obviously, I agree with all of you guys. I think that you pretty much summed it all up, but I will dare to put Summer or Shaq in, and I will dare to say never compromise, not even in the face of Armageddon.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that should be there. Denny lost connection, so she will not be able to join us, but I believe she would agree with us as well. So let's kind of round this up, and let's just give some last minute shout outs, and we will call this over. So we have few people to shout out. Obvious. Zack Snyder, definitely.
Debbie
Big
Snyder.
shout out to him, because that's the reason we are here.
Shout out to Debbie
and there
as
are
well.
two girls, Fiona and Rena, girls who've been with the movement since the very beginning. Fiona is the actual beginning of the movement, and we wish she could have been there with us. They're here. So definitely shout out to her, and we're hoping to hear from her soon. And we're hoping that she's doing well. Then also shout out to Pilly and his podcast, because that's where this whole idea came from, and that was thanks to the guys from TPZ, because they gave us all the shout outs, and that's how ideas happen. So it's basically their fault. So thank you guys. This is what you cost. Now you have to deal with it. Do you girls have anything else to add?
I just want to give a shout out to all the other badass women in this movement that really are in the trenches, like Abdul said, constantly spreading positivity, whether it's on Twitter, Vero, what have you. And Zach and Deborah, just thank you. I don't know how else to say it, but just thank you for everything.
Anyone else?
And of course, a big shout out to all of you. Thank you for coming out here, coming and spending your Saturday night with us, recording this amazing podcast. Hopefully, this is the first of many.
Yes.
I do want to give out some shout outs. So again, thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of this. It was nice to virtually meet you guys and just hear your different points of view. And I want to give a shout out to one of my best friends, Jonathan Michi. You should definitely follow him on Twitter. He's awesome, big Zack Snyder fan. He was there taking the picture with us. Also, my friend Vaughn, he goes by I'm a Film Editor on Twitter. I actually met him when we took the picture, and we became friends. And then two awesome cosplayers, big Zack fans as well, Sylvia Slades and Wonder Woman is Real, who were also there in the photo as well. And then a YouTuber, her name is Dilly DC. She doesn't have social media for
Mo? It's Mo?
It's Mo.
You kind of dropped off in the middle. You were talking about your friend from YouTube.
Oh, no. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so where did I leave off?
You said her name is Dilly DC.
Your YouTube friend.
Dilly? Okay, yeah, Dilly DC. She has a YouTube channel, and she's a big supporter of Zack. She just doesn't have social media, but...
Again.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh, what the heck? Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It was like she just doesn't have social media, but...
Okay, sorry.
I can't use my headphones apparently. So Dilly DC, yeah, check out her videos on YouTube. She's a big Zach supporter. And also my friend Sesh Evans, Sesh M. Evans on Twitter, also a big Zack Snyder supporter. So there you go.
Perfect. Anyone else? Any special wishes?
I'm gonna put the spotlight on our good buddy Mick D, because he's amazing. He's like the biggest supporter of me and Nana, and he is the conscious and the heart of this movement lately.
And he also puts up with us a lot.
Yeah, he puts up with us being annoying, and he's just there. He's the voice of reason. If Fiona's the heart, the soul, he's the conscious and the voice of reason, and he's a fantastic person.
And I want to shout out Hamad, I think that's how you say his name, and Will Rowland.
Yes, Will.
And
Will.
Jeff Purdy.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Hobo Jeff,
And,
we love you.
Hobo Jeff, you're getting your shout out.
And of course, Zach and Deb, of course. And Jay Oliva.
Yes, the amazing and incredible Jay Oliva.
I want to shout out Chris Dawson. He is making the Black Suit edition for the Justice League. He's an amazing... I can't wait for this. And to Geraldo Cortez. He's the musician behind all this.
And to anyone that we've forgotten, we just we love all of you. Every single mover and shaker in this movement. Okay, so that's our show. So thank you for joining us, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation. It was great.
We have to do it sometime again.
Yes, please.
So this
It would be
is
great.
Snyder's Amazon signing off.